I thought my life was over.
At 17, I held a pregnancy test in my shaking hands. 2 pink lines. My heart stopped. I stared at it for a long time, hoping the lines would disappear, hoping it was a mistake. But it wasn't. I was pregnant. Fear wrapped around my chest like a tightrope. My dreams, my education, my future, everything I had imagined for my life suddenly felt like it was crashing down. When I told my boyfriend, his face went pale. He didn't hug me. He didn't comfort me. Instead, he whispered the words I was afraid to hear. "We have to get rid of it." The room went silent. My heart raced as fear filled my mind. What if something went wrong? What if I died? What if I never had the chance to fix my life? For days, I couldn't sleep. Finally, I gathered the courage to do the hardest thing I had ever done. I told my mother. The moment the words left my mouth, the house exploded with anger. "Oh my God," she cried, holding her head. "This girl has finished me. We are struggling just to keep you in school, and this is what you bring to this house?" Her voice shook the walls. There were tears, arguments, and a silence that lasted for weeks. Shame filled every corner of our home. Neighbors whispered, relatives judged, and I felt like I had ruined everything. But months passed, and the baby came anyway. Tiny, beautiful, completely innocent. She had no idea about the storm she had been born into. Life didn't magically become easy. I went back to school, but I was no longer the carefree girl I used to be. I sat quietly in class while others laughed and talked. My mind was always somewhere else. Who is watching my baby right now? What if she's crying? How will I finish school? How will I survive? The weight of the future sat heavily on my shoulders. Then, one afternoon, something unexpected happened. A girl named Joy sat beside me during lunch break. She noticed I barely spoke and always looked worried. "Why are you always sad?" she asked gently. I forced a laugh. "You don't want to know." But she didn't leave. She waited, and slowly, the story poured out of me. The pregnancy, the shame, the fear, the disappointment in my mother's eyes. When I finished talking, I expected her to judge me like everyone else, but instead she looked at me with kindness and said something that changed my life forever. "God hasn't finished with you yet. Your story isn't over." Those words stayed in my heart. That same week, Joy invited me to church. I didn't go because my life was perfect. I went because I needed hope. And that day, I gave my life to Christ. Not because my problems disappeared, but because I finally believed my future wasn't destroyed. Slowly, things began to change. I finished secondary school. One day, someone gave me an old sewing machine. At first, I didn't think much of it. But as I began learning how to sew, something inside me came alive. Thread by thread, stitch by stitch, a new dream was being born. I enrolled in a small fashion school and worked harder than I ever had in my life. Many nights I stayed awake sewing while my baby slept beside me. There were moments I wanted to quit, moments I cried and asked God why my journey had to be so difficult. But prayer gave me strength. Years passed, and the same girl my mother once cried over, the same girl people whispered about, the same girl everyone believed had destroyed her future, became someone nobody expected. A businesswoman, a fashion designer, a mother who refused to give up, not despite her story, but because of it. Today, when I look at my daughter, I don't see shame. I see the reason I fought so hard to change my life. So, if you're in the darkest chapter of your life right now, if you feel like your mistakes have destroyed your future, remember this: your story isn't over. God is still writing it.